welcome to Jesus for Asia Now. I'm Natalie Wood, and I have my husband John here with me today. Hello, love.
Hi, darling. How are you today?
Doing fine.
Awesome.
We've got an exciting project to share. You know, we say that almost every show, but
I
it
know.
is really exciting.
I know, and this is like something that we experienced ourselves, and this is like something we've been wanting to share for a long time.
Yes.
This time we got to go to Mindoro.
Yes, we did. And we want to take our viewers on a bit of a travelogue.
Yes.
They'll have to forgive us, hopefully.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's really neat when we can visit the project ourselves. And this one was a little harder to get to than most of our projects. Many of our projects are in the city or we can drive there. But this one we actually had to hike after traveling.
Yeah.
So,
especially some of these projects that are new and really remote, especially for you, because you spend most of the time in the office.
right.
And so it's really neat to be able to get out there and see what the donations, what the donors, and what the office workers are actually accomplishing, because sometimes it's easy to lose sight of what's really happening out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really neat too, because this was a very primitive place, and the tribes are actually very primitive. In fact, their main clothing, well, we'll show a picture of their main clothing in a little bit, but it was just really neat to go and see for myself and see for ourselves.
Very meaningful.
What the Lord is doing, yes.
Gives me a lot of, I don't know if pride is the right word, but it gives me a lot of joy, I guess, to be a servant to the people that are on the front lines, ministering the word and ministering God's grace in real and tangible ways.
Right, right.
And
it's such a blessing to be a blessing to them.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's God's plan. God's plan is to link His church members all around the world in uplifting the lost, uplifting those that are hurting and don't know a better way. And so this is one way that He can do that.
Yeah. Well, we were really thankful this time because we were on our way to Philippine Youth for Christ. And so James and Marianne were with us.
Yes.
So some of the footage and pictures we'll be sharing, James actually was shooting.
Yes.
So that was a real blessing to have the kids with us.
Right. And they've been traveling with us for a long time.
Right.
The first time we took them to India, if you remember that.
Right. Marianne was 4 and James was 6.
Yes.
And we've got a picture here.
Yes. And
so that everyone can see how little they were.
One of James' favorite things about India is that he could eat with his hands.
Yeah. So we're back to our travelogue.
Okay.
And this is a picture from the airport. And we had, do you remember 20 hours?
It was about 20 hours in the air, plus all the layovers and stuff. We got into Manila Friday afternoon, and we were exhausted. But the next morning, we went to Sabbath school at the Manila Adventist Medical Center Church. And then they took us to a church plant for a church.
Yes, that was neat. And they had a baptism that day.
Yes.
So that was extra special.
Now check out this church. It's going to be very different than the one we're going to in Mindoro.
Okay, here we go.
So you notice that we're by a swimming pool, but you notice all those massive high-rise business complexes.
Right.
There is a church plant in downtown financial district, the young and up-and-coming area of Manila, and they're doing an intentional church plant in that area. And here they're having a baptism. You see it, we're standing out by the pool. And so the next video is going to show this baptism, and you'll laugh at where they're actually baptizing this person.
It was wonderful to be there for that baptism. And
Yes.
it's always neat to see somebody choose to give their lives to God 100%.
That's right.
And
then that afternoon, as soon as we got home, we were...
back to bed, because we were exhausted trying to get over jet lag in one day.
Yes.
Because the next morning at 4 a.m.,
Yep.
we were supposed to get up and start to Kimale, because we only had 4 days
Yes.
before you had to be speaking at PYC, at Philippine Youth for Christ. So we had,
We only had 4 days, but 2 of those days was traveling.
right.
One day to get to the base camp of Mindoro, and the other day to get from there to Iloilo, where PYC was happening.
Right. So we ended up with only 2 days
Yes.
for the whole Kimale experience.
Yes. And
And
they wanted to take us to a lot of other villages also, but we
Right.
only had time for Kimale.
Yeah, no, that was neat.
So this is the bus station where we waited for the bus.
Yeah, it's kind of intense right there. And they backed the bus in right in front of us.
With all
you
the
can see the
smoke.
driveway there. Yeah.
Yeah, and the diesel billowing into your faces and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's all good. We got on board, and we had brought a
granola bar. So that was our breakfast. And thankfully,
yep. And then after the bus,
then we got on a boat to go
Yeah.
from the island of Luzon over to the island of Mindoro.
yes, thankfully they're neighboring islands. But the bus, we were on the bus for what, 3 hours?
Something like that.
And then on the boat for like 2 hours.
Something like, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Time gets blurry.
Yeah. And then when we got to the island, we got on another minivan and
Right.
drove another couple hours to
Right.
get to where we're
The
ending
base
up.
camp.
Yes.
Right. So here we are on the boat
Mm-hmm.
with James and Marianne.
Yep.
And this is a view from the boat.
Now we're getting off the boat. We're going to go get on another bus. Of course, as you know, there's over 7,000 islands in the Philippines. So a lot of boat transportation.
Right. And here's the next bus we had to take.
It was windy and warm. You can see that we're in shorts and t-shirts, and it was very comfortable
Yeah.
weather. I
Right.
miss it right now because it's winter right now in Tennessee, and I'm freezing.
Yeah. So we arrived in the dark
Mm-hmm.
at base camp, which is Pete and Jessica Barolo's home.
Yes.
And so here we are in their home.
Yep.
And
That's Pete on the left there, and Mark Martino, who also was one of our videographers for JFA, and that's actually his uncle. And this is how we got connected with Pete and Jessica, is through Mark. Mark told us, my uncle's doing this. He wants to do this ministry up in the mountains, because Pete had come to one of our faith camps that we held in the Philippines. And he said, wow, a lay member can do work for God? Wow. And the Lord started laying this burden for the Mangian people up in the hill tribes on his heart. And they were being neglected. They were living primitive lifestyles. I mean, Stone Age, barely Stone Age. And so that started becoming a burden. And so Mark came to me at one of our faith camps and says, you know, can you help him provide for these people? And so this was way back in 2010, I believe. I gave him like $250. And with that, I hadn't heard from him for several years. And then come to find out that they had been working and working and working harder, and, you know, little ministries or little businesses on the side, like they would make tofu and soy milk and sell those things, and with that money that they would then go and establish schools and stuff like that with them, up in the Mangian tribes up in the hills.
in the mountains.
So when we heard about that, we're like, wow, can we help? Can we be a part of that? And
Right.
of course,
Right. Enable them to go even further, because they were sharing how many villages there were
yes.
that had nothing.
Yes.
So this is a picture looking down the house, down into the kitchen area where
Yeah.
they're gathered around the sink preparing food.
Yeah. Now, Pete was a teacher in the public school system, and so he was very well established. He wasn't rich, but he had a steady, regular, strong income. And so just this last year, he has surrendered his job so that he can work with the Mangians full time.
Right, right.
So,
And so he's able to go even further and
Right.
be out even longer to help different people.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
this is a picture of the bungalow where they put us for the night.
Yes, it was
Surrounded by greenery. It's beautiful there.
so beautiful.
So
so
we enjoyed
peaceful.
it.
Yes.
Right. And we had to sleep under mosquito nets. So
Yep.
you can see that over the bed there.
Yeah.
And in the morning, they served us a beautiful breakfast, including a lot of fresh fruit, as you can see, papaya and avocado, which in the Philippines, they think of avocado as a fruit. So
Yes.
that takes us a little bit of getting used to.
And the avocados there are like
yes,
this.
and they taste really good.
Yeah. And
But-
then they got my favorite fruit, of course, the mango. Almost the best mango in the world.
The young lady in the picture on the right-hand side, that is Mark's wife, Jonalyn, and she's the other part of our media team in the Philippines.
This is, of course, we had to take the obligatory group photo in the morning, except for Mark, he's taking the picture. But his wife, Jonalyn, is on the left there, and Pete and his wife.
And a little boy that they're taking care of.
Yeah. And then we met Macdong.
Macdong, yeah. Macdong is a missionary to the Mangian people.
Yes.
He found out about them. He's from a different island. Actually, he's from the island of Mindanao.
Which is different from Mindoro.
Right,
It's actually about 1,200 kilometers away
Right.
And
And he has an amazing story, and we'll have to share that in another episode.
yeah, because he bicycled the whole way up there.
Yeah. To be of service to these people.
Yeah.
And he's got a great burden for them.
Yes.
And some neat ideas too.
Yes.
So we'll have to share that at another time. But we want to talk about now the hike into Kimale itself.
Oh my goodness. That we almost died. In fact, I think I died several times on the hike into Kimale because it was so hot.
It was very sunny and very hot.
And very
and a jungle.
Humid.
Right.
So humid.
Heavy humidity.
This first photo, I mean, this is my impression of the jungle that we went through.
Yeah. And that's Marianne disappearing into the
Being
foliage.
swallowed. We were all swallowed by the jungle. The heat,
Yes.
the oppressiveness of the jungle. I mean, we're out of shape. I'm out of shape.
Yes,
and
we are.
That was a big factor, and it was a suffering time to get there.
Right. It's only 3.5 miles.
Yeah.
Only 3.5 miles, but
not
it took
that
us
far.
3.5 hours on the way in and 2.5 hours on the way back out.
Yeah.
So it was a very intense hike. And the only reason it took us less coming back out is it rained, it was overcast, so not so hot. We could go faster and not have to rest as much. But it was also downhill most of the way.
Yeah.
So it was a lot easier.
And we were kind of used to it a little bit.
A little
Knew
bit.
what to expect.
Right.
On the way out there, it's like, how far is it? How long is it? What's the trail going to be like? What are we going
All
to
the
do when we get
questions.
there? I mean, all these unknowns.
Yeah.
But what's interesting about the human nature is that going into the unknown is more difficult than coming back to the known.
Yeah.
But the unknown is usually where all the amazing experiences are.
Right.
And God has his people. And there's over 6,000 unreached people groups in the world today. They're all unknown. And maybe God has some amazing experiences for us in growing our faith in taking the gospel to him. So this great gospel commission, I think, is the great adventure. It's the great feast of the harvest.
Right. So this next one is a video showing a little bit about getting to the base of the trail and then going up the trail.
Correct. What you got there, Marianne? A baby goat. This is an aerial shot of the little village of Kimale that we were going to, and praise God, we actually made it.
Yes, we did.
We were all mostly alive. On the way, I got to meet a new friend.
Right, and this gentleman was probably from that village or one of the nearby villages.
Right.
And this is their native dress.
Native dress, yes.
Right.
So I was proud to get, how few times we actually get a chance to meet people from this kind of society, this kind of lifestyle. There's huge barriers between people in our lifestyle and people in their lifestyle. Huge barriers, and very, very rarely do we actually get to cross over. And so I see it as a huge privilege of being able to meet this guy.
It is. And to meet people who may someday come to know Jesus that we love so much.
And when we get to heaven, God looks at him and he looks at me. We're equals.
Right.
And he's just as interested in that man as he is in me, which is cool.
God is so good.
Yes.
So you put a picture of me in here.
Yes.
So everyone could see how red my face is.
Yes. You're tolerating me taking your picture, barely. But look how beautifully you almost die. But look how I almost die. I mean, like, I'm a mess. My hair is all messed up, my face is messed up. I mean, I'm just like, you can see the look in my eyes is like, I love it here, but I just survived that.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was good. Oh,
now here's
put
the
that
shot.
picture in too.
Yes. You can see that sitting up on the table is a drone. And dear Mark used it as a fan for my dear wife so that she wouldn't die of heat exhaustion.
Yes, he was trying to help me.
It felt good though, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
Yes.
It was nice to have that spot of cool.
Yes.
For a little bit.
James took us down to the river and did some, the water was nice and cool, and he did some cliff diving, and that was nice.
That was a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is when you met some of the Hmong kids.
The reason why we came.
Right.
See these kids.
Yeah, they're so precious, their little faces.
So this is the first time that we got to go into a Hmong house, and you can see the primitive nature of the house. I mean, they cook right there in their bamboo hut, a fire in your bamboo hut, you know.
Yeah.
Very primitive.
Right, and it's very smoky, which means a lot of them have eye problems and other health issues because of the smoke.
They say that the smoke from a fire is worse than cigarettes. And so, you know, we saw kids with a lot of eye problems, and I'm sure their lungs and everything. They're not aware of hygiene, the concept of hygiene, and so they never take a bath. They hardly ever wash their hands, and so you can see there's a lot of diseases that they have to deal with.
Right, a lot of education to help them to be more healthy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. And this, it rained that evening.
Yes.
And so the children got to play in the rain. They're actually washing their hands in the rainwater.
Yeah.
So they can eat.
Love that.
So,
love those kids.
Yeah, beautiful children.
And this is more of a modern village. The school has been there for several years, and they're only 3.5 miles from civilization. And so they have a basketball and a basketball hoop.
Yeah, so that was fun to watch them playing basketball.
Yes.
And they were just running everywhere. It was great. So this is a picture of just a bunch of kids playing together, and you can see that a lot of them are naked because that's the way they live. Right. That's their normal life. In
fact, when the missionaries first came to this village, they had to take quite a bit of time to get to know the people so that they would accept them. But we've been there so long that they accept the missionaries and their guests like us.
Right.
Here's another shot of the house and the family just hanging out with the visitors, and it's coming evening, and so the family's at home, and maybe they're cooking, maybe mom's cooking a meal in the house, and
whatever they found that day.
Yeah, this is their house. And I just love pictures of kids.
Yeah,
these cute
beautiful
little kids.
Children smiling.
Just another shot of the kids with a pet hen.
That's a lot of fun. They're cute.
Oh, I love those kids. In an earlier video, we showed this one missionary that says, you know, sometimes when I don't have food, I'll just go to my hut and I'll go to sleep just to sleep away the hunger pains. And so this is what really tore on our hearts. Right.
So we wanted to help them with food now. And as we'll share in another video, MacDong is helping with gardening now, trying to help them learn how.
Because the missionaries have been there, demonstrated that Jesus is more powerful than the evil spirits. So now they're more willing to just stay in one area.
Right.
So they built a school with a cement base, what do you call it?
Floor.
Floor, with a cement floor, and they're teaching them how to do the gardening.
Right. Right. And it's been interesting because this is also the village where people will remember the story of the young people that were so desperate to get baptized that they snuck out in the middle of the night. And then they were to be punished. And the old angel in a loincloth showed up and told them not to punish the children. So because of these things, they are seeing that God is more powerful.
Absolutely.
But in the meantime, we wanted to help with a problem. And here's a video with the request.
Yes, here's one of the teachers, the Hmong teacher in this school, talking about what happens with lunch and stuff for the kids.
Noon po ang kanilang kailangan, yung sana daw po may feeding. May? Feeding. Yung pagkain. Sabi ko, ipanalangin lang sa Panginoon, lahat-lahat, hindi madamot.
Bakit paano po ang sitwasyon nila?
Kasi yung iba, ting umaga hindi pa kumain, walang pagkain. Kasi ang mga magulang doon na sa bukid. Minsan mga alas 2 na magawi. Wala pa silang mga pagkain. Magsama sa amin doon. Yan. Pero ngayon sila, maayos naman kahit yung mga bata po. Pero nasanay na kahit walang pagkain.
And so we're there, and when we come to lunch, and there's no food for the kids, and we see, wait a minute, this is not right. This is not right that all these kids, and the kids, what do? They're hungry. They can't concentrate on their school.
Yeah, and they don't learn as well. Children don't learn as well when they don't have good nutrition.
In very poverty-encased societies, it's hard for the parents, to see the value of an education because they don't have the education. Why would the kids go and learn stuff that isn't helping the family bring in money today?
Or bring in food today, or
Exactly, food, yeah. And so why would we send our kids to the school, And so we're thinking, well, if we provided a free lunch, would it be more likely that they would send their kids to the school? And of course, Pete said, yes, absolutely. In fact, parents from around in different villages would start sending their kids to school. So if we provide a free lunch, that encourages the kids to come to school, encourages parents to send them to school. They can study better because their stomachs are full. It combats their malnutrition, and malnutrition then opens them up to all kinds of other diseases. And it attracts more people to the school. So it's like a win-win-win-win all the way around. And so we're like, what's it going to take to provide that lunch? And the biggest obstacle was actually getting the food to the school.
Right.
There's no freeway, and
Right.
there's no car.
You can't take a vehicle.
No. And so they actually ended up buying a horse, but they can't take that horse to Kimale because it's really steep.
The trail is not conducive.
Right. And so he says, okay, if you have the parents haul in the food, we'll pay for the food. So the parents are now investing in that school as well, and their kids. So this last day that we were here, the second day that we were in Kimale, we did this feeding program. And so we got to film for you guys this first lunch. And check this out. This is really exciting. As we said, some of the footage was shot by our son, James. Right. And James, it moved him so much, this trip up there, that he put together this short little piece. It was kind of a collage of different impressions from the trip.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
That was neat. James' video
Yeah.
is so neat. It's neat to see how he put his heart and soul into the video. You know, you
Yeah.
can feel kind of his experience there.
Oh yeah, and you know these are things that he's growing up with, so it's like second nature to him. And the young people that get a vision for God's work in the world, they have so many tools at their disposal, and so we just like
Want to empower them.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, you had a comment about the feeding program.
Yes, when we were there and we were looking at the fact that they didn't have lunch, you know, it was the fact that people, our donors, donate to the Where Needed Most Fund. That gave us the ability to say, okay, we're going to start this lunch program right now. And we didn't have to come back and do a lot of fundraising and things like that. We could just go forward. And that gives us the opportunity to do things like that that aren't maybe as huge, but wow, so powerful.
It's making a difference for those kids, though, every
Huge.
single day.
Oh, yeah,
So,
absolutely. Can you imagine being one of those kids and wow, I get to look forward to lunch tomorrow?
yeah. And it's good food.
Yes,
So, we praise the
Saving
Lord.
lives.
We're just really thankful.
it's saving
Really
lives.
thankful to be a part of it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Physically saving their lives and encouraging them to look to the God who provides it
Absolutely.
for saving them for eternity.
I love what the teacher said. Pray to God. He's not selfish.
Yeah. God isn't selfish. Many
No.
times we as human beings are, though.
Yes.
Wow.
But he gives us opportunities to overcome that selfishness.
He does.
Yes.
He does. And that's one of the reasons that he shares these kinds of needs with us.
That's
To
right.
give us an opportunity to overcome our selfishness.
Absolutely.
I hope you've enjoyed our little travelogue today and going to this village to visit where people live so differently from us. You know, there's more than 30 villages out there. Actually, they stopped counting at 30 villages beyond Kimale when they did an aerial survey recently. There were so many more that they saw, but they stopped counting. So many people out there that live like this. And we have no idea. And they don't even know Jesus who died for them. And, you know, sometimes we don't think about it, but the difference between Jesus coming to live on this earth and living in heaven is probably similar to the difference between the way we live today and the way these dear jungle people live. It's that big of a difference. Actually, it's probably bigger than that. If you would like to be involved in this or any of our other projects, please send your tax-deductible love gift to Jesus for Asia, P.O. Box 1221, Collegedale, Tennessee, 37315. Call us at 423-413-7321 or visit our website at jesusforasia.org. May God richly bless you until we see you again next time on Jesus for Asia Now.